Please welcome our mayor, Buddy Dyer.
Welcome and Happy New Year. Welcome to the January 12th, 2015, and very first Orlando City Council meeting of the new year. We're going to begin today's proceedings with the invocation offered today by Reverend Kenneth Green, who has served as the senior pastor at Prince of Peace Lutheran Church in East Orlando since 2013, and also serves as a member of the Faith-Based Advisory Council for Orange County Public Schools. Prince of Peace has served Orlando since 1957 as a multicultural congregation with services and studies in both English and Spanish. The church hosts a food pantry once a month and actively partners with 3 Points Elementary School to provide school supplies, holiday meals. It also offers ESOL classes on an ongoing basis and provides sponsorship for Boy Scout Troop 101. After the invocation, will be led in the pledge by Commissioner Jim Gray today. Please stand.
Please join me in prayer. Gracious Lord, we thank you for all the blessings that you have given to us, including the blessing to be able to serve you and to serve others. We ask that you would be with all those who govern and all those who lead, that they would be enabled to serve the common good, that they would be able to advance the cause of justice for the oppressed and care for those in need. Help us all as citizens to embrace the diversity that you have given us so that we might celebrate your creation. And we ask that our communities would live in safety. Watch over all of our first responders and give your wisdom and grace and peace to the City Council as they meet today. I offer my prayer with respect for people of all faiths, as well as respect for people who claim none. I offer my prayer in the name of my personal Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll and make a determination of a quorum, please?
Commissioner Gray?
Here.
Commissioner Ortiz?
Here.
Commissioner Stewart?
Here.
Commissioner Sheehan?
Here.
Commissioner Hill?
Here.
Commissioner Ings?
Here.
Mayor Dyer?
Here.
Mayor, you have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Let's take up for consideration the minutes of the agenda review and City Council meetings from December 15th.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is that a second? All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Let's move right into awards and presentations, and I'm going to call on Marcia, our Chief Service Officer and Director of the Office of Community Affairs and Human Relations, to introduce a number of folks that are in the audience today to help us celebrate MLK Week.
Thank you, Mayor Dyer, City Commissioners, members of the public, and colleagues. Each year for nearly several decades now, our city has recognized the life and legacy of Dr. King, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., in January as the nation observes the National Dr. Martin Luther King holiday. Dr. King had many quotes, as we all know. He was quoted much in the media and in his books, but he once said, "Our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter." That quote particularly rings true, I think, each year and each day. Mayor Dyer has appointed his MLK Commission, which is made up of civic, business, and community leaders who coordinate many MLK activities for the city and the Metro Orlando area, working with our staff in the mayor's office. Last night, we kicked off the 2015 Dr. King celebration with Mayor Dyer leading, along with Commissioners Hill and Ings, the interfaith service and the candlelight vigil from City Hall to the First United Methodist Church. I'd like to thank Commissioner Hill and Commissioner Ings for joining Mayor Dyer for that special occasion. The commission has worked tirelessly, and they are not just working during this time in January, but before, during, and after the MLK holiday to engage our residents and the Metro Orlando community in meaningful events, including last year in June, our city's celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act here in this City Council chambers. Many of you were here. It is my pleasure at this time to introduce Brandy Hand, who is the chair of Mayor Dyer's Dr. Martin Luther King Commission, who will introduce the commission members, sponsors, humanitarians, and give you a brief preview of what's upcoming with our MLK activities before Mayor Dyer reads the proclamation. Brandy?
Thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and City Council members. I think for some of us it's been maybe 18 hours since we've seen each other at the first event. The Orlando Mayor's Martin Luther King Jr. Commission strengthens our community by promoting Dr. King's legacy of equality, justice, peace, respect, and inclusion for all. As Marcia indicated, the commission is made up of simply incredible volunteers from the public, private, and not-for-profit sector, and we are very well supported by our city staff. I would like to introduce the commission members who are able to be with us here today, beginning with our planning team. When I call your name, please stand. Corey Johnson from OUC, the reliable one. Lee Nemcoff, Brio Properties. Dawn Afodele from UCF. Courtney Powell, ACE Applications. Marisol Romani, Orlando Health. They are joined by our fellow commissioners, Ken Goodwin, Zero Chaos. Jean Martin, the Orlando Magic. Michelle Dorcien, the Haitian American Chamber of Commerce. Cressida Jackson, Member at Large. Peter Spence, Member at Large. Patricia Broussard, Florida A&M College of Law. Jonathan Perry, Greenberg Traurig. Katie Byrne, the Junior League of Greater Orlando. Becky Malaysia, Asian American Chamber of Commerce. Joey Taylor, Orange County Public Schools. Katrina Somerville, Orange County Public Schools. Cran Riley, Wayne Ditch Charities. Vicki Brooks, Member at Large. Suzanne Richards, Corporation for National and Community Services. And our outstanding staff, led by Marcia Hope Goodwin, Patricia Newton, Reggie McGill, Walter Hawkins, Lizette Feliciano. Please join me in thanking these incredible volunteers. As you know, part of our work is involved with fundraising to support the community events. The names of our 2015 sponsors will be appearing on the screens above you, and we are delighted that several sponsors are able to be with us today. Would all MLK Commission sponsors please rise so that we can recognize and thank you? One of the highlights for the commission is the Mayor's Youth Humanitarian Program. One student from each middle and high school in Orange County, just one, is recognized each year because they have exhibited the ideals of Dr. King. These students are bright, shining stars of our future. You may have outstanding grades, students, but what sets them apart is the outstanding content of their character. Several of the youth humanitarians were able to get away from school today, and their families are here with us. Humanitarians, would you please stand, and then families, would you please stand so that we can congratulate you all. As you stated last night, Mayor, we are the beginning of over a week-long series of events which will honor Dr. King, including several community service projects on the King holiday, which, as we all know, should be a day on, not a day off. A complete listing is found on our calendar, which Marcia and Patricia will be distributing to each of you, together with a special MLK pin. The calendar can also be accessed by looking at our website, www.mlkorlando.com. Mayor, we want to thank you for your ongoing support and recognition of the important work of strengthening our community through promoting Dr. King's legacy. And I understand you have a proclamation.
I do, Brandy. Thank you so much, and thank you for introducing all of our volunteers and sponsors and humanitarians. Proclamation. Whereas January 19th, 2015 is the national holiday to observe the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., one of America's greatest visionary leaders who peacefully created civil rights activism in our nation through nonviolent means. And whereas Dr. King devoted his life to the struggle for justice and equality for people of all races, colors, and ethnicities. And whereas since 1994, the Mayor's Martin Luther King Jr. Commission, an appointed 25-member advisory board, has worked diligently to promote Dr. King's legacy of equality, justice, peace, respect, and inclusion for all in Metro Orlando. And whereas each year the MLK Commission raises funds and works with community and business leaders and not-for-profits to coordinate and sponsor meaningful events and service projects throughout the community. And whereas the MLK Commission has provided academic scholarships to high school students, organized food drives, beautified parks and neighborhoods, and made improvements to schools, and whereas the City of Orlando celebrates Dr. King's legacy, the MLK Commission and I encourage all Central Floridians to visit mlkorlando.com to participate in a variety of MLK holiday activities. Now, therefore, I, Buddy Dyer, Mayor of the City of Orlando, hereby do proclaim January 11th through the 19th, 2015, as Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Holiday Week in the City of Orlando.
Thank you, Mayor. And if all the commissioners will come forward.
If you were just here for the MLK event, now would be a good time to make your exit. We'll give you 30 seconds. I should have done the mayor's update and then let everybody leave just before Commissioner Gray starts. Okay. Mayor's update. In yesterday's New York Times, Orlando was named as one of the top 52 places to go in 2015. I have no idea why it's 52 and not 50, but we were ranked number 13 and noted as a destination not just because of our theme parks, but they specifically mentioned downtown and Sunrail and the Dr. Phillips Center, the soccer stadium, and our Main Street districts with businesses and restaurants. So I think that's pretty cool that even outside of Disney and Universal, we are a great destination. Last Tuesday, the city hosted the first same-sex wedding ceremony in which 44 couples had the opportunity to get married as the state of Florida became the 36th state plus DC to provide marriage equality for all. I'd like to thank MBA of Orlando who helped organize this event, and to all our local businesses that donated their services. It's an extra special day, a lot of tears and a lot of smiles. On the heels of that event for equality, we also today celebrate the 3-year anniversary of the city's implementation of the Domestic Partnership Registry. It was approved by the Orlando City Council in December of 2011. Since then, 13 other Florida jurisdictions have used the city's registry as a model, and we currently have over 1,300 couples that are registered through the registry. Friday, we celebrated the launch of the Orlando Bike Share program. The first phase includes 20 bikes at 4 different locations, and there will be an additional 16 stations with an additional 180 bikes, so 200 bikes at 20 stations throughout the city of Orlando, and our bikes are extra smart. They have GPS, smartphone capability, website technology. For more information, go to orlandobikeshare.com. I'm pleased that we recognized our MLK Commission, our sponsors, and our humanitarian award winners. There are a number of events over the course of the next 8 days that allow us to join and celebrate the life and legacy of Dr. King. Some of them are the 10th annual MLK Leadership Forum on Thursday at Florida A&M College of Law, the City of Hope concert and performance on Friday at 7 o'clock at Mount Zion, the 31st annual MLK Holiday Parade at 10 a.m. on Saturday, and then the Great Day of Service activities on Monday at several locations. Visit mlkorlando.com for more information. For the hockey fans among us, we are looking forward to hosting the 2015 CCM ECHL All-Star Classic at the Amway Center a week from Wednesday, January 21st, where our Solar Bears will take on the All-Stars from across the country. And as part of this, the Solar Bears are bringing the Stanley Cup to City Hall on Tuesday, January 20th. It will be in the Rotunda and open to the public for photographs. So that's Tuesday, January 20th, between 12 o'clock and 1 o'clock. And it'll be on display at a number of different locations throughout the city. As part of the continued development of downtown Orlando, the city is leading an effort to secure a hotel adjacent to the Dr. Phillips Center. We want to do that as part of the development that will help to fund the ongoing operation of the center. Public notice soliciting proposals was advertised on Monday, January 5th, and interested parties have until 3 p.m. Wednesday, February 4th to submit proposals. Let's see, as we talk about downtown, commissioners, actually I'm going to go one and then come back. At the request of Commissioner Stewart, we're taking the mural proposal off of consent and going to do it at new business. And I want to thank Commissioner Sheehan for her leadership on this effort. We want to make sure that we are able to support art and support murals in our downtown without getting confused about within the scope of our signage ordinance. And as we talk about downtown development, you know that Project DTO will help us create a roadmap for what we're going to do here the next 10 years. And on second reading today is the planned development of the Ace Cafe, and I thought it'd be appropriate to have Thomas come and update us on that specific project. Thomas?
Thank you, Mayor, and good afternoon, Mayor and Commissioners. Ace Cafe Orlando will be a venue that consists of a restaurant, a bar, a live music venue, and about 10,000 square feet in its first phase of complimentary retail space, in addition to a motorcycle shop, which rents and sells motorcycles. But perhaps the most appealing component to us about this project is their very aggressive special event programming. And they do that primarily through partnering with local and regional and sometimes national and international partners. And for example, currently, ACE is currently negotiating with the promoters of Biketoberfest and Bike Week to make the Ace Cafe here in Orlando an official pre- and post-event gathering site. It's sort of a tailgate site, if you will, as they are with the American International Motorcycle Expo, which brings more than 10,000 attendees annually to an event at the Orlando Orange County Convention Center. And again, they will co-promote pre- and post events and events all during that week to bring those 10,000 attendees to downtown, making downtown Orlando an official staging area. The ACE, of course, was founded more than 75 years ago in London. Is regarded as a mecca for motorcycle and car enthusiasts from around the world. Again, the feel of a local hangout with the flexibility to convert into a dynamic event space that will bring lots and lots of people. Right now, there are 3 ACE cafes open. They're original in London, there's one in Finland, and one in Beijing. And within the next 18 to 24 months, they look to open not only here in Orlando, but in Barcelona, Hamburg, Germany, Lucerne, Switzerland, and they are negotiating with Dubai as well. What does ACE mean to guests? Ray Oldenburg, who was an American urban sociologist, who's known for writing about the importance of what he terms the third place, social gathering places, indicates that third places are the heart of a community's social vitality and sometimes they're part of the foundation of a functioning democracy. He looks at those third places as beer gardens, main streets, pubs, cafes, coffee houses, and other such places, such venues. And third places, according to Mr. Oldenburg, host the regular, voluntary, informal, and happily anticipated gatherings of individuals beyond the realms of home and work. From an economic impact standpoint, not only will Ace Cafe Orlando employ over 200 people here in the area, but again, with weekend festival events, those events, of course, will generate more hotel room nights, car rentals, parking revenue, I should say, as well as revenue for the restaurants in the area, and generally speaking, bring about, particularly in those nighttime, those early nighttime hours from 6 to 10, more pedestrians on the streets of downtown Orlando. When it comes to special events, once established, the ACE will have an annual reunion weekend. The London reunion weekend this past October drew more than 200,000 visitors. Of course, that's after 75 years of being there. ACE is also an excellent corporate citizen with a long track record of being involved with the community through various programs and initiatives. ACE Cafe Orlando will continue that by partnering again with local and regional entities supporting charitable fundraisers and events on their behalf. Ace Cafe will, as I said, other than the restaurants and the live music venue, we will also have a hot rod garage. They will feature Dionisi, which is an Italian-based, highly regarded motorcycle gear manufacturing retailer with 40 international locations, only 3 of which are in the United States. At this time will be the 4th, as well as other entities. The site, of course, is along Garland at Livingston. It's approximately a 3-acre site, which they would term as Ace Corner, and they look for that site to phase 1 of that site will be the restaurant and bar, which you see in the to the left of your screen, and a shop for Ace Cafe rockers with merchandise and the motorcycle dealership, with phase 2 being to the right another 12 to 18,000 square feet of related shops, including not only a restoration garage, but artist display gallery and a motorcycle museum. So we really look forward to that.
How about that? Okay, let's move right into the consent agenda. And the consent agenda is a number of items that will be acted upon through a single vote of council at agenda review. Commissioner Stewart kind of asked that we move item C6 to off the consent agenda, be heard at new business, and without objection we will do that. We give each of our commissioners an opportunity to comment on items on the consent agenda and update you on items of importance from their commission districts. We rotate the order we do that, and today we're back to District 1. Commissioner Gray.
Thank you, Mayor. And as I reflected on 14, it was a very exciting and opportunities for our folks in District 1, and based on some announcements, we've got a lot more going on. Lagoons and manufacturing plants and all kinds of fun things. So 2015 looks to be another promising and great opportunity for folks in the area. So with that, I'll yield my time to Commissioner Ortiz.
Commissioner Ortiz.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Commissioner. Feliz Año Nuevo. Happy New Year to everyone. I hope that you all had a great holiday season. Let me begin by giving my deepest sympathies to Mr. Byron Brook and his family for the loss of your brother. Your family, you, and everybody, and others on our prayers. I want to take this opportunity to congratulate the National Latino Peace Office Association of Central Florida for the wonderful Three Kings event they had on Saturday at the Jackson Middle School. Over 400 children and parents attended this event, this annual event. Congratulations to OPD Lieutenant Cindy Lane, 911 Supervisor Lisa Perez, OPD Anna Coughlin, OFD Assistant Chief Aníbal Zayas, and the Central Florida Hispanic Firefighters Association. Everyone else involved in the event too. Great job, guys. Also want to give special thanks to Commissioner Stewart for attending the event. I was sick at home. I wasn't able to attend this year, but Commissioner Stewart, thank you so very much for representing us. We're starting our second District 2 Government Academy in January 27th this year. During this Government Academy, we do an overview of the federal government, the state government, school, and county, and city. And we are going to have representatives from each one of these sections of government teaching about what government in their different atmospheres do. And it's a great opportunity for people to learn more about how government interact at the different levels. Last year we had the first academy and it was a total success. So I'm looking forward to this particular academy this year. If anybody's interested, please call my office and we will set you up to take the academy. It's a 7-week academy, 2 hours. I believe it's either Tuesdays or Thursdays. We will give you the details. And a reminder to District 2 Neighborhood Leaders Council, our next meeting is this Thursday, January 15th at 6:30. Hope to see you all there. And on the agenda, I just wanted to congratulate our staff and DDR for moving the project of the shopping center we have on South Cimarron, another big, wonderful revitalization project, and we're really looking forward to this particular development to come into our district. That's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 3, Commissioner Stewart.
Thank you, Mayor, and let me also extend our condolences to Byron and his family. So we love your family. Just want you to know that. A couple of quick things. Let me just touch base on what was going on today. I had a chance to open up the 60th branch of one of the nation's largest tile companies, Enzer Tile, over and off of Princeton and Links Lane. It was neat to be over there. 25,000 square foot showroom. 6,000 square foot showroom, 25,000 square foot warehouse, and it'll become a regional center for the state of Florida. Coming up also soon, I guess probably in 10 days, we'll be opening up the Segafredo's coffee bar over at Mills Park. And there's a new martial arts studio in downtown College Park. And then, of course, the North Quarter Tavern, be part of the NORA project coming up that we'll be having our ribbon cutting in a few days. So lots happening. As Commissioner Gray has said, they had a great 2014 and a lot of stuff happening in 2015 already. Let me mention there's a couple other quick things. The 15th Annual City of Orlando Wetlands Festival is coming up on Saturday, February 22nd over at Fort Christmas Park. I love going out there and spending time with that. If you haven't had a chance to come out and get a chance to see the park, please come out. And there's tours of the Orlando Wetlands Park while you're out there. So I talked to Robert Bowden, and Ribbit is here. Opened up this past Saturday. So you get a chance to come over to Lou Gardens and see Ribbit. We have my favorite is Emerson, who's enjoying a cup of coffee on the bench. And of course, we've had a really wonderful response just in the first opening weekend. This weekend's going to be a nice 4-day weekend, so family members, if you have a chance, want something to do with your kids, take them and enjoy the sculpture throughout Lou Gardens. There will be a children's scavenger hunt be available for our youngest visitors and their families as well. And then the last thing I want to cover just briefly is that it's the beginning of the year, and as every year starts up, there's plenty of community meetings. I'd love to go to every one and stay the entire time. That's what I love doing and love being part of that. So if you will please let my office know, and give us plenty of advance so I can get a chance to come and spend time as many of these as possible. Oftentimes we have 4 or 5 scheduled the same night. I don't get a chance to do that. So please get them on our calendar, get them on there early, because I love getting a chance to get to know our neighbors and to listen to their concerns and be able to address those as best we can. And with that, Mayor, that's all that I have on the agenda.
Thank you. We'll move to District 4, Commissioner Sheehan.
Thank you, Mayor, and I am so sorry I missed the Martin Luther King Vigil. I have been so sick. I've had bronchitis the entire holiday, so I love that event. I'm so sorry that I missed it. And if I sound like a frog today, that would be why. It's not because I want to ribbit the exhibit. I haven't been out much during the holidays, but yeah, I've been fighting bronchitis. But that's a wonderful event, and I'm glad that it went off well. 44 couples did get married on the steps of City Hall. Thank you, Mayor Dyer. That was a absolutely wonderful day, and it was great to have equal rights and to experience that. And I want to thank Mayanne, the legal department as well. And we had a lot of things going on behind the scenes, and regardless of Judge Hinkle's decision, we would have been able to do them in Orange County because my assistant, Bill Stevens, and his partner, Robert Briggs, had gone forward with a suit and clarification. So we could have issued them in Orange County regardless. And there's a lot going on to assist us with that. I want to thank everybody so much, but someone that I really, really have to thank is Amy Anako. Amy has been on the forefront of this ever since we were doing domestic partnership, ever since we were doing just basic protections for people in hiring and public accommodation and housing. And Amy's worked on this through this entire time, even when there was an administration who was not amenable to equal rights. Mayor, you've been very good, but it wasn't always that way. And sometimes folks just let it happen and not veto it, and it was very, very difficult over the years. And Amy's been a wonderful supporter and worked in the legal department. And there was one day that I was walking downtown, and she was giving me a bit of bad advice that the mayor at the time was not going to support the ordinance to protect on non-discrimination. And we were walking downtown, we'd gone to lunch, and she got to be the one to deliver the news to me. And I remember it was raining, and we were under an umbrella, and I said, be careful, I mean, people might think we're together, because she's not gay. And she says, I really don't care. She says, because now I understand the kind of discrimination that you go through every single day. And that meant a great deal to me, and it's meant a great deal to me over the years, and I want to thank Amy because, again, she's just been someone who's done the right thing and has been a wonderful advocate for people in my community, and I just want to recognize her publicly and thank her very much for her friendship and her work over the years for equality. On the agenda today, on item B7, the Greenwood Caretakers Agreement, that's a great thing. We've had a lot of problems with the cemetery, not since we've had a caretaker living on ground, so that's a wonderful agreement. I'm glad to see that we're going to continue that for a caretaker at Greenwood, for someone to live there on grounds and kind of keep an eye on things. On item C6, that is the mural ordinance. I know that we're pulling that off for new business. I'm sorry I missed the agenda review. Again, I've been really, really sick. But I just wanted to say something that we had complaints about the murals in the Mills 50 area, even though it's been kind of a very eclectic, funky mix. We've also had some concerns from local businesses who've put murals on the sides of their businesses, and it ended up counting towards their signage, and it ended up really enriching these business areas, not a problem. So this is actually a pilot program. Again, I'm not asking for ordinance, I'm just asking for a pilot program and see how this works. And I've worked very closely with Dean and Jason on this, again, to allow murals. I know there's been a lot in the media about that we're going to be, restricting freedom of expression. No, this does the exact opposite. We're actually going to be allowing murals. The $50 is just for basically a building permit, kind of to go towards the inspections and make sure we don't have anything that's, that does restrict. We can't restrict content, but we can't restrict anything that's pornography or anything like that. So that, again, that's just to make sure that they're done properly. And 5% of the overall could be for advertising. It will also allow the murals to stay that we've done for the soccer that people enjoy so much. And again, I think this is a great thing that we've done to allow art, especially in Mills 50. We kind of have the preponderance of the murals in that area, but they're throughout the city. I think they're wonderful, and I think the street art is actually a very rich experience that we have throughout our Main Street districts, and I look forward to a way to allow them. And the difference between graffiti and art is permission. If you have permission, it's not graffiti. And again, this has been a great thing for our area in Mills 50 and throughout the city, and I hope that we can pass this today as a pilot program to eventually get to the point where we can get to an ordinance. I'd like to have a big, expressing ordinances, but again, we just want to, try them first, so that's why it was on consent. It's not that I was trying to sneak anything through, and I've been working on this for months, and unfortunately, I didn't even know it was going to be on the agenda today. I would have really gotten in front of it and explained it a lot better. But again, I think it's a good thing for our city to allow art and this creative expression that we've had throughout our city. And that's all I had, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 5. Commissioner Hill.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I would like to thank Cal Shepard and Cindy Light. We in District 5, it's no Park of the Americas, Commissioner Ortiz, but we have a little small green there in Rock Lake, Spring Lake. We have our own little doggy park, okay? So, but we're on our way. Also, this last Sunday, we and other elected officials and Chief Mina went to church together there at St. Mark AME and met with the community and worship, and that was just a thrill. And I'd like to thank St. Mark for welcoming us there at the church. And as the mayor stated on Tuesday, January the 6th, I'm proud to say I was on the right side of history. And I thank you, Mayor, Marianne, and Amy, for leading the way. I was proud to be amongst many friends there on the City Hall steps. I don't think that there was a dry eye in the place. And I know that was something that I heard a gentleman say. He had been with his partner for 41 years, and he thought that he would never live to see that day, and that really touched me. And I have a young man here that I want to stand up, Emmanuel Pope. I did not know until this afternoon that he was a humanitarian here on the Mayor's MLK Commission. I met Emmanuel about 3 to 4 months ago, and I saw something just like the commission did, a shining star. Emmanuel is a AP scholar with a 4.3 or greater weighted GPA. He's also our president of the Jones High Student Council of Government. Here a few months ago, I had Emmanuel come in, fill out an application to intern in my office. So he has been approved, and also he has been appointed as the first appointee to the District 5 Youth Advisory Committee. So I asked him to stay around when I saw him, and we have to celebrate the youth in our community. So thank you, Emmanuel, for leading the way and answering the call to help spearhead the project in District 5 to be our youth ambassador. Other exciting news here in District 5, last Thursday, because of now we're calling it the PS through 8. Originally it was called the K through 8 school that we're gonna have, that OCPS is having in Paramore. Last week, Mr. Rosen, Harris Rosen, his foundation announced that they will be sending every high school student that graduates from Jones High for a full ride to college or technical school. Also, and that will start in 2016. That's great news. Now that every child in Paramore can have a college education. And he's going to teach those that's in the Paramore community how to become child care providers and give them certifications. And every child from preschool on up will have child care. So that right there was just monumental. We had so many parents out along with Kat Gordon and OCPS the other night, and I think that's going to help transform our community. This is something that is near and dear to me. It's called the BBC Task Force. We had a meeting last Thursday night here on the 9th floor in the Overlook Room, where the BBC is addressing black-on-black crime, something that we've been seeing in the news for a very long while, especially here. There's a rise in certain communities where people are being shot and killed, and it's not by the police. It's by people that are from the very community that they have neighbors in. And what has happened is that we've had over 70 leaders in the community last Thursday night come together, which were elected officials. Thank you, Commissioner Ings, for standing with us and helping to address this crisis that we have. We had sororities, fraternities, for-profits, non-profits. We had everyday citizens that have came together, and we've broken out in subcommittees addressing education, addressing housing, addressing poverty. Chief Mina was there with Eric Smith, his team. Also, Sheriff Dimmons sent his representative, Mr. Danny Vereen. They were there. Walter Hawkins is also helping me spearhead this as with Alvin McGill, to where we're coming together with solutions in which we will bring back to the community to lend a voice to this situation, to see what we can do to assist the government and assist law enforcement will take stock in our own community and seeing what we can do to circumvent some of the issues that we're having. And this will be a community action plan that's ongoing throughout, you know, I know my 4 years. If they give me a little bit longer, I'll take it. But I just want to thank everyone for their support, and we're still looking for more volunteers. This isn't about the city, it's not about the county. This is a community effort. And thank you, that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioner. We'll move to District 6. Commissioner Ings.
Thank you, Mayor, and I'd like to extend my condolences to Byron Brooks and his family, as well. Mr. Rufus Brooks, retired principal, and his wife Edith was here in council today, Mayor, and also his sister Bridget Brooks Williams. So my condolences to you all, and we wish you guys much comfort in this very time of need. Brandon was Byron's younger brother. Also, I attended on a Saturday night Orlando Health's Inside Preview, Reaching New Heights. This was a great house opening for the new hospital tower there at the Orlando Health. It's designed with all private rooms, and that's really neat because sometimes when we think about HIPAA laws and you have two different patients inside the room, and you have a doctor or nurse come in and they're talking to one particular patient, another patient can hear that information. So now with private rooms, that negates that. And so that's a great opportunity for great convenience for families. And then the rooms are, and the hospital is equipped with the latest technology, and they provide a healing environment through pet therapy as well as aroma towels and some more amenities that they're doing in the hospital there for the patients. And I'd just like to thank Mark Jones, who's the president of Orlando Regional Medical Center, for his assistance with me doing the tour of that particular time. But this was a great event for the community. And then also being there at the Martin Luther King Day commemoration for 2015, with the mayor's Martin Luther King Holiday Commission was a great event, and to see the amount of young people that were involved and participating in this and marching from City Hall to the First United Methodist Church there on Jackson Street was a great thing. And just to see the talent too that they have, and to see all of the different faith organizations coming together was really great. And the retired Honorable Emerson Thompson, the senior judge for the Florida 5th District Court of Appeals, was the very guest speaker there, and this was a great event. And Mayor Dyer, you gave a great speech as well, and we really appreciate that. One thing that was announced at the end of this service was the Watutu Choir, and they're coming in out of Africa, and this is beautiful Africa, a new generation to Orlando, and they're going to be at the First United Methodist Church on Saturday, January 24th at 7 p.m. So I would encourage all of us to come out and really support this Watutu Children's Choir that are going to be in concert. This choir has performed for the White House. They performed for the Queen of England. And so they've been throughout the world in concert tour. So coming to Orlando obviously is a very special thing. And then coming up today, later today, and I'm going to ask all of us if at 4:55 p.m., wherever you are throughout the city, if you would just stop in a moment of silence as we remember Haiti. The earthquake of 2010 took place on January 12, 2010. And at 4:55 p.m., we're having a Remembering Haiti event here today at City Hall. We're going to start with the 6 p.m. Mass, Creole Mass at St. James Catholic Cathedral Church at 215 North Orange Avenue. And then we're going to have a candlelight march from St. James Church to City Hall Rotunda. We will be on the sidewalks, so we won't be blocking any streets or anything like that. And then once we get into City Hall, we're going to have a candlelight vigil and special prayer in the Rotunda. Our mistress of ceremony is Monica May, and she has done this for us since our beginning, and we've been doing this since the earthquake. This is our 5th year. Monica May with Star 94.5. And we're going to have as one of our guest speakers Commissioner Victoria Siplin, Orange County District 6. As some of us may know, Commissioner Siplin is Haitian, and so this will be a perfect opportunity for her to speak before the people. And then the Haitian Consulate, Haitian Consul Lauren Prosper will be there, along with Club Creole, University of Central Florida. They will be there to do a cultural dance for us. So we're going to have some different speakers. We're going to talk about some of the victims will give testimony, and then we're going to talk about some of the greater things that are happening in Haiti right now. Father Borsicote from St. James Catholic Church will close out our event with a prayer. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Thank you, Commissioners. A motion to go.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Ing, second by Commissioner Sheehan. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, so the consent agenda is approved. Without objection, let's recess the City Council meeting, convene the CRA meeting. We have 3 sets of meeting minutes to approve. Let's take up the first, which are November 3rd, 2014. Is there a motion to approve those minutes?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, the motion carries. All right, meeting minutes from November 17th, 2014.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. And meeting minutes December 15th.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart,
Second.
second by Commissioner Hill. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Then we will adjourn the CRA meeting, reconvene the City Council meeting. That will bring us to new business. We have moved item C6, which relates to a proposed pilot program to exempt artistic murals from the city's sign code. Dean, did you come up? We have such a dull meeting today that this has drawn the only interest.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Commissioners. Yes, we were not expecting to make a presentation this afternoon, but thank you, Commissioner Stewart. What we have before you today is
before you get started. All I said was, wouldn't it be a good idea if we had a brief preview so that we could have something to direct the public to see about the recap? I get accused of I'm for the thing. I just want to make sure that the community knows what's going on.
Absolutely.
Well, and I have to concur with Commissioner Stewart. I didn't even know it was going to be on the agenda until last week, and this is something I've been working on. So again, I probably could have gotten ahead of it a lot easier too had I known. And again, there's a lot of misinformation. So glad for the opportunity to clarify.
Dean?
So, yes, thank you, Mayor. This is a pilot program we're proposing. This would be a 2-year pilot program, and the reason we're doing it as a pilot is to make sure that before we amend our code, that there are any issues with what we're proposing to do would be resolved through further refinements. So, as a matter of introduction, murals are increasing throughout the city. We have about 50 in the city right now, if you're counting, and they are coming in various shapes and sizes. Some are pure art, some are sponsored art because there is a corporate sponsor behind some of the art. You're familiar with the City Lions and the artwork that they did leading up to the new stadium. And there are also other ones that are on-site business-supported commercial art as well. So we have a combination of different types of murals, all being sponsored in different ways, some not being sponsored at all. The sign code does not address or intend to regulate art. In fact, art is not discussed at all in the Land Development Code. What is described in the code, though, is that a sign is considered anything that attracts attention to a building. So whether you put language on your building or art on your building, it's technically a sign from the technical standpoint of interpreting the code. This is what we're trying to resolve by exempting these areas from the sign code. And more importantly, because we have very limited size areas for signs on buildings, we want to make sure that if there is art on a building, it doesn't get counted towards a sign area because that would push them over their sign limit, requiring that they get variances. We don't want to go down that road as well. So we just want to make sure that we understand that signs as defined by Chapter 64, at least in terms of this interpretation and this pilot program, would not be construed as signs if they're art. There's a desire to support art, as you all know, and even business-related art due to the city's interest in placemaking and certainly in what's happening in our Main Street program areas, and all the more reason why we really need to address this. Ironically, we've looked at other Florida cities. We've actually looked around the country, and there's very little record as to how communities are addressing this. Much like Orlando, they're doing it as a kind of a catch-all basis that doesn't really necessarily have any standard. They basically look at them as they come in. But we believe that if they have been regulated in the past in other communities, it's usually limiting commercial messages on an ad hoc basis, and many regulations appear legally deficient in that regard because we've been told we really cannot regulate content. And so artwork, much like signs, cannot be regulated by the city. And that gets to my last point here. We cannot regulate content similar to signs, but we do follow anti-obscenity laws under the state of Florida statutes, and therefore if something came forward to us that we were to perceive as obscene, we would then certainly comment on that and discourage that from occurring. But that would be a violation of that artist or that property owner. So here are some examples of some murals that are out there today, one being on the upper left-hand corner, Gringos Locos. This is a good example of a mural that is actually a mural and a sign. So when we do the interpretation here, part of that mural, this portion here particularly, would be considered part of the sign area for the building and would be counted towards the allowable sign for that business. To the extent that this area were less than 5% of the mural area, we would not count it. But as it exceeds 5%, we would then count this as part of the sign. To the right is a more typical type of artwork, which is purely art. Lower left is an old mural from the old Sam Flax before they relocated. But on the lower right-hand corner, you'll see that's a mural on Bumby. But if you can't see, there's a very small logo on the record being played by the disc jockey, and that is a logo for Red Bull. So you'd say, well, how did that get there? Well, that was because Red Bull was sponsoring this mural, and that's how they integrate their logo and their art into the sponsorship for these pieces of artwork. So what we're doing is defining what an artistic mural is. It's an original, hand-painted graphic that communicates artistic expression, and I stress original and hand-painted. It can't be a copy. It can't be something that is printed out. It has to be applied for before installation. This gets to the issue of graffiti. The property owner and the artist need to apply prior to installation to determine whether the artistic mural may be exempted from the sign code, and more importantly, then it becomes an official part of our record. It's prohibited in residential and historic districts. We would allow for artistic murals in our main streets, our market streets, and within traditional city activity centers and mixed-use corridors, again, within traditional city, and only in our commercial areas. Lastly, we would allow on properties adjacent to premium transit, such as our bus rapid transit or rail, so those blank walls that you see when you're going on the Sunrail may have art on them, and we would allow that under this program. Height and location. There's been some discussion about this. We believe that the taller the mural, the more visible it is, and there's some examples of that out there. So the idea is to limit the total wall area covered by the mural based on its overall height. So if you have a 15-foot tall mural, you can cover the 100% of the wall on which it's placed. If you have a 30-foot tall mural, though, you're only allowed 50% of the wall, and when you get to 60-foot tall mural, then you're limited to 25%. We also would propose to limit where these are located on sides or rears of buildings and not allowed over architectural details. We would allow them on retaining walls and screen walls as long as they're not facing towards residential areas. Here's an example of a 60-foot high mural, and you can see that way you can't see the entire picture, but it represents 25% of that overall face of that building. And again, when you get a mural of this size and this proportion, we believe 25% is more than adequate to address having an appropriately sized mural. On text, we're proposing to limit sponsorship and text, and that includes logos as well, to 5% in order to ensure that the mural remains as art, yet supports efforts to fund art in the city of Orlando. On maintenance, we're requiring that they be painted on walls that are prepared prior to installation. They should be power washed. They ideally should be primed and prepared before that installation. And if for any reason the mural peels or is marred in any way or covered with defacing by graffiti, it needs to be maintained by the property owner and by the artist within 30 days of that defacing. The application process is pretty simple. We're trying to keep this very easy. The application would be to the planning official via a determination process. The planning official fee applies, it's $50. It's similar to a single family or nonprofit application fee. We wanted to keep it at our lowest base fee. And we also wanted to make sure that it was very simple. The base planning official application is a half a page application. There's nothing more to it. The owner and the artist would apply jointly. Presumably, I could make a determination right on the spot. On occasion, if they were at a complicated site where we have to go out and look at the building just to make sure that it's not covering an architectural portion of the building, or there was some other unusual factor involved, we would need to go out. But we believe the $50 fee is more than appropriate. It's a standard fee, and we do the same work whether it's a small mural or a large mural. So if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them, and we look forward to implementing this pilot program.
Okay, questions, comments, Commissioner Stewart, then Commissioner Ings.
One just quick clarification on the amount, a percentage to the wall. Up to 15% is 100% of the 15-foot wall is up to 100%.
That's correct.
Up to 30 is 50, so a 25-foot wall would fall into the 50% category.
If it's 50 feet, yes.
Because it's above 15 and less than 30.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. I'm really thrilled with the compromise. I think it's a good way for us to kind of go down a challenging, without having to be effectively like what Commissioner Sheehan said, graffiti. I mean, graffiti is not asking permission, I guess.
Well, that's true. And we've had some issues with regard to what are called permission walls, where an owner says, go ahead, a graffiti artist, do your thing. And that may be fine, but again, in order to make sure that we're getting art, and more importantly, that we're not covering up windows or architectural elements in the building, by having an application process, at least it requires a conscious decision on the part of the owner of the property, as well as the artist before they do any artwork on the building.
I appreciate your work on it, of course, and Commissioner Sheehan, that we have a challenge as we try to promote the eclectic nature of some of our, not eclectic, but the special nature of our main streets. We want them to take advantage of this, but we also want to make sure we have a little bit of direction to it. So thank you very much.
Commissioner Ings?
Thank you, Mayor. Dean, have you guys looked at Atlanta and Los Angeles as well as Portland, Oregon for any of their mural ordinances that are in place now?
We have, sir, and what's interesting is a lot of places, the ones that do have regulations are very, very complex. They have their art going before art advisory boards. They have easements that they place on the face of the wall, and then the city controls the easements. Very complicated. We didn't think we needed to go that far. We're trying to keep this simple. We're trying to keep it open so that artists have the freedom to express themselves as they see fit. Again, the public are going to speak whether or not the artist is good or not, and the owner of the property is going to have to address whether the art is suitable or not for the neighborhood. So we think that dynamic is what's going to check and control the art, and not regulations that we put in place to review art.
You know, based upon your presentation now, it's like, well, why do we really need a 2-year pilot program to do something like this? Because, I mean, it's very comprehensive what you just explained to us, and it seems to me that we should be moving forward with putting it in an ordinance now, because you're just that clear and succinct. So, I mean, you guys have done a great job, and really, you know, it was good for us to hear this presentation, because even in our briefings and that kind of thing, it really didn't reach the magnitude of where you are now.
Well, I appreciate the comments and the confidence. I would just say this. As with all programs, once we get going here, we may realize that we need to inject something else. What I didn't say is that within the downtown area, besides my signing off, it still requires a review by the Appearance Review Board. We feel comfortable with the pilot program just to make sure that there's nothing that we haven't thought about. It can get a little tricky sometimes when you're dealing with logos or things that we may not recognize as a logo. We just want to try this out for a while. It may be that in less than 2 years we'll be back to you and say we're ready to do an amendment to the code, but we do want it as a pilot program to start.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Sheehan, do you have a motion?
Yes, Mayor, I'd like to move approval.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Stewart. Discussion? Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. All right. Thank you, Dean. Thank you, Commissioner Sheehan.
Thank you.
Hearings, ordinances, second reading, number 1, Madam Clerk.
This is ordinance 2014-71, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, designating certain land generally located north of West Robinson Street, east of North Garland Avenue, south of West Livingston Street, and west of State Lane, and comprised of 2.94 acres of land, more or less, as planned development district with the traditional city zoning overlay district on the city's official zoning maps, providing special land development regulations of the Ace Cafe Orlando Plan Development District, providing for severability, correction, scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to approve. Second.
Motion by Commissioner Hill, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2014-69, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's adopted growth management plan to assign the future land use map designation of residential low intensity to approximately .0995 acres of land generally located to the north and west of the Katy Way Trail, south of Beach Boulevard, and east of Baldwin Cove Way, providing for severability, correction, scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Sheehan. Is there anyone from the public that would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3, Madam Clerk.
Ordinance 2014-70, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, annexing to the corporate limits of the city certain land generally located north of Dalbert Street, east of Maltby Avenue, south of Roush Avenue, and west of Lake Baldwin Lane, and comprised of .46 acres, more or less. Amending the city's adopted growth management plan to designate the property as industrial on the city's official future land use maps, and designating the property as the industrial commercial district with the aircraft noise overlay district on the city's official zoning maps, providing for amendment of the city's official future land use and zoning maps, providing for severability, correction, scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Stewart, second by Commissioner Ings. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Let's move to ordinances on first reading. Madam Clerk, number 1.
Ordinance 2014-68, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, amending the city's adopted growth management plan by changing the future land use map designation from industrial to community activity center for approximately 5.3 acres of land generally located to the east-southeast of the intersection of Conway Road and Judge Road, and changing the future land use map designation from community activity center to industrial for approximately 4.58 acres of land generally located to the southeast of the intersection of Conway Road and Judge Road, providing for severability, correction, scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 2, Madam Clerk.
This is ordinance 2014-74, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, designating certain land generally located south of East Gore Street and west of South Delaney Avenue, more specifically with an address of 900 to 908 South Delaney Avenue, and comprised of about 0.53 acres, as planned development district with the traditional city overlay district, Bradshaw Terrace Appearance Review District, and Aircraft Noise Overlay District, PD/T/AR/AN, on the city's official zoning maps, providing special land development regulations of the planned development, providing for severability, correction, scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Sheehan, second by Commissioner Ings. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor.
There's just one thing I want to say on this one. There was some concern from the neighborhood about the crosswalk and, not crosswalks, but the sidewalks and the pedestrian safety in this area, and I have talked to staff, and they are going to make sure that it's brought up to code and that the proper ramps and everything are put in place. That's all I had. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, further discussion. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carries. Number 3, Madam Clerk.
This is ordinance 2014-75, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, designating certain land generally located on the east side of Narcoossee Road between Lee Vista Boulevard and State Road 528, Beach Line Expressway, more specifically with an address of 9627 Narcoossee Road and comprised of about 9.69 acres, as planned development with the Aircraft Noise Overlay District, PD/AN, providing special land development regulations of the planned development, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak on this matter? So, Commissioner Gray, this is one of those big things you were talking
Yes.
about.
Yes.
One for
Yes,
2015. How about that? A little
Need more self-storage.
Self-storage.
Yes,
Awesome.
sir.
It's almost as good as a roll-off.
Yeah.
Franchise. Okay. All in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carries. Number 4, Madam Clerk.
This is ordinance 2014-73, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Orlando, Florida, designating certain land generally located to the northeast and southeast of the intersection of Conway Road and Judge Road, and to the northwest of Lake Mare Prairie, and comprised of 135.7 acres of land, more or less, as planned development district with the Aircraft Noise and Conway Road Special Plan Overlay Districts in part, and as planned development district with the Aircraft Noise Overlay District in part, on the city's official zoning maps, providing special land development regulations of the Judge Meadow Plan Development District, providing for severability, correction of scrivener's errors, and an effective date.
Move to approve.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Gray, second by Commissioner Ortiz. Is there anyone from the public who would like to testify on this matter? Discussion among commissioners. Hearing none, all in favor of the motion indicate so by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, and so the motion carries. Take note there are items for information only, and that concludes the official business of the Orlando City Council for today. Do we have? Okay, I do have one general appearance request card, and that is from Barry White. So, sir, if you would come up and give us your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes to address council.
Good afternoon. So my name is Barry White, and I'm at 3242 West Church Street in Orlando, 32805. I am the president of Community Involvement Targeting Youth Incorporated, also known as City Inc. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We were founded in 2006, and our primary focus is to provide alternatives and after-school programs for children ages 4 through 15. We currently have over 1,000 children in our programs, representing over 750 families in over 8 different neighborhoods throughout the city of Orlando. Our programs consist of sports, tutoring, mentoring, and drama. The majority of our children participate in our youth football programs with the Orlando Outlaws Youth Football and Cheer, Central Florida Saints Youth Football and Cheer, Central Florida Colts Youth Football and Cheer, and the Orlando Steelers Youth Football and Cheer. We provide mentoring and tutoring through our partners, Stop the Violence and Embrace, Trust and Faith Incorporated, the We Are Somebody program, and several local targeted case management companies. We teach acting classes with our partners, the Pine Hills Performing Arts Center. With me today and in support of our organization, I have a few of our board members, coaches, local clergy, and concerned citizens, parents, and also a representative from the Westlake community. We are here today to address our concerns about the lack of resources for our children in our community. Plainly put, we don't have any safe, lighted, and decent football fields to hold our practices and games. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the program where the majority of our 1,000 children participate. Just this past December, our oldest program, the Orlando Outlaws Youth Football and Cheer, who has been around, by the way, since 1989, was faced with the familiar problem of nowhere to practice under the lights. Being an after-school program, we meet around 6 p.m., and especially during this time of the year, having a lighted field is a necessity. Our football and cheer programs compete in state and national leagues, so we are required to host at least 5 to 7 games during the season on Saturdays at a legitimate football facility, as well as practicing 3 to 4 times a night, 3 to 4 nights a week. We are asking that we are given access to the football field at Lake Leonard-Doon. We have been informed that it needs repairs, and the process to begin those repairs will have to wait until March after the completion of the Citrus Bowl renovation. City Inc. is willing and able to assist to do the legwork to provide the necessary labor, along with the resources provided by the City of Orlando to prepare the field as a legitimate youth stadium for the upcoming season, which will start in late July. That will last through December. With our 501c3 status, our willingness to put in the labor and maintain the cleanup, and as taxpayers of the city, we also ask that any fees be waived to use the facility. We are all volunteers, and although we charge a registration fee and we seek sponsors and grants, after our program expenses, we cannot afford the city fees of $80 per night and the $200 each Saturday. And in conclusion, I would like to add that we have been graciously granted a meeting with one of our commissioners concerning this issue. And as I mentioned before, we have with us today a representative of the Westlake Community Committee who is working on plans for Lake Leonard-Doon and the park. We know that this one field will not solve all of our problems and concerns, but it is a start in the right direction. Thank you for your time and consideration for this moment.
Thank you. Commissioner Hill?
Thank you for coming out to this afternoon, Mr. White. What I think you, there's no chastisement, didn't mention as a community partner is Commissioner Hill.
Yes, I was told not to direct my.
But you could have said that because I have been very supportive with resources and
if you're going to be mean, you got to talk to me, and if you're going to say something nice, you can say it directly.
Okay. Commissioner Hill, she was graciously enough to give us a meeting on next month.
I've given resources, I've given time, I've made phone calls.
Well, she's always around. Yeah, this is one commissioner that I can say we see all the time.
If you'll turn around. Lisa, would you wave your hand?
Yeah.
Lisa's our Director of Parks.
Come up, Lisa.
Family Parks and Rec, so that's the person you need to speak with.
Because we have been working on this, and over in the Rio Grande where Mr. White had Grand Avenue, she knows him well.
I always appreciate when somebody comes to advocate for kids.
Yes.
Yeah,
and we've been working hard trying to make sure we help. Go ahead, Lisa, and tell them what's going on, because I have been speaking with yourself and Rodney regarding the Lake Larned Dune field where they've always practiced, but right now, due to the construction that had been going on in the parking, the liability of one of the kids getting hurt there because the ground isn't level right now is why one of the reasons we couldn't allow the children to play. And I have been working with Ms. Spiegel with the West Lakes community. I've been a part of those meetings for the last 10, 12 months or so. Was just at a meeting last evening regarding that, and I think they're talking about the Citrus Bowl efforts to restore Lake Larned Dune, which will be part of that effort. I was just asking that you give us some time, because you love the kids and we want the kids to be safe. But me and Lisa can work together on waiving some of the costs, because you are doing a phenomenal job there in the community. And what I was just addressing in council is you're part of the think tank, actually, of the BBC task force.
Yes.
So we are working together. But Lisa, can you kind of inform Mr. White where we go from here?
Yeah, Mr. White, I appreciate, like I said, advocating. And I think this is, we do have a lot of fields, but we don't have a lot of lighted fields. And so I think there's a lot of demand for sports, every kind. There's soccer, there's rugby, there's football. And kids practice after school. It's always in the evenings. And so weekends we have enough capacity, because kids practice and games are played during the day, so you can do it anywhere. You can do it on a field that's not lighted. But for practices after school, there's always a lot of heavy demand, and it's hard to fill. And it's hard to get a lot of big open spaces lighted in a city that has, relatively densely populated. It's a little different if you live way out in the suburbs or the more rural areas, because big pieces of land are cheap, and you can put lighting in that's not going to bother the neighbors. A lot of times we may have land, but you can't really put lights in, because the neighborhood around it doesn't want, these bright lights right in front of or around their houses. So that's a typical problem that people have in a sort of a more urban area. But I just want to assure you that this is something that we've talked about a lot as a city council, how we can get more lighted fields. It's something that I feel deeply about. But we will work with you. This is kind of a temporary problem at Lake Larned Dune because of the construction. There are plans, and I know the folks that are working with the Westlake issue and with Lift Orlando, that we've been working very closely with the group to address needs of the surrounding neighborhood. I know athletic fields for kids is a need. I know there's been some conversation about opening up the gate there so that the neighborhood can come in without necessarily having to rent. So these are all issues that we're going to work with you on, but it is going to take a little bit of time. So, and I wish we could get actually our Emory Hamilton fields lighted, but there may be stuff under the ground because that's nearby, and you know. We've looked at that over some time, but there may be some stuff under the ground that we can't really disturb.
Are none of those fields lit? I thought one of them was lit.
No.
Have they brought in temporary lighting out there?
Sometimes people have brought in, those temporary lights. Yeah.
And Mayor and Lisa, maybe I can haven't touched discretionary funds, anything. Maybe we can work something out with a lighting company where I work with staff to see if I can allocate some funding from my discretionary funds during the evenings to help with
bring lighting
temporary lighting, with bringing some lighting in. So maybe that's something we might can work on in the upcoming weeks when it's time to start back with football and see what we can do, or even get some sponsors.
We're definitely committed to working with you on this.
But I know you're at I'm sorry. But we are providing a football space over at the Rio Grande location for some of your youth football teams, correct?
Yes.
And the Jackson Center, correct?
Well, Jackson Center is not one of my programs. Actually, one of the programs is the Rio Grande, and those are the Steelers. And the other one had to go all the way over to Ocoee, to the Central Florida Christian Academy, the school. And they didn't have any lights either. But the other one is at Barnett Park, and we were at Eagles Nest, the Orlando Outlaws.
The fairground, Lisa, does that have temporary
There are no
lighting?
lights.
That must be the Emery Hamilton Fields, which
Yeah,
are right
Emory
there next to
Hamilton.
the one. Yeah, those are the ones that we have that don't have lights.
Okay.
Yeah, and the problem is just not enough. Just this past December, we needed lights, and so we moved over and went to Barnett Park, where the Colts, where our other program was. And when we got there, the Colts were there, the Outlaws were there, the Jets were there, the Cardinals were there, and it was one other team. All of them was trying to share one field. And if you've ever been back at Barnett Park, it's kind of in a lake. Sort of, it's really damp back there, but they fixed the field to where it's not a puddle on the field anymore. It just slides down to the side. So since we didn't have enough room to get on the field, we had to practice on the sides where the water was going down, and we only had a shadow of the lights. And so the ball was really basically hitting the kids in the head because they couldn't see it. And we were practicing in mud because all of the water was going
Well,
down.
you've got Lisa and the commissioner on your side there. So, all right, thank you for coming this morning, this afternoon, I guess. Any other general appearance requests, Alana? Okay, then we stand adjourned. Thank you.